All right, so we looked at using curves to adjust tone. Now let's go ahead and take a look at using it to adjust color. I mentioned this a little bit in the bike messenger guy image. So in that adjusting color folder, I'm going to go ahead and grab a JPEG. And you'll need to do something like this for your homework. And on your homework, you'll need to sort of use a too light or too warm and too cool image. Try to adjust the color to get those to look normal. I'm going to work here with this image right here, which is a too warm image. Again, there's that background. I'll rename it. When you rename a background layer, it pops up this little dialog box, slightly different. Background still life. Didn't really need I to be capitalized, but what you can do. Come down here, black and white cookie, curves, rename that, fixing color. Okay. So looking at this image, it is too warm. Now, ways we can deal with that, right? We can go in here to the RGB thing by channel. So we can go to our blues, right, which is B, and try and pull that up a little bit. I can go to red and pull that down a little bit. And that's given me, I gotta say, that's pretty good. I'm kind of impressed. So again, hide and show. All right, my whites are a lot whiter. That sort of yellowy tone on that seamless is gone. Overall, much better. There is a second way of doing it, which we can also try. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my history. Oh, not histogram, history. Thank you. Go back to opening it. Go back to new curves layer, name change. All right. And that utilizes these little eyedroppers here in the curves palette. There's a white one, a black one, and a gray one. I'm going to grab the gray one. And then I'm going to look for something that I think is a sort of medium gray in the photograph. Now, there is this convenient color chart. Try that. There's also a seamless that I think is gray. But let's try the color chart first. So what this does is that I go in here and click on something that I think or know to be gray. Photoshop says, okay, he's clicking on that. That should be gray. And it tries to adjust all of the other colors and tones to match that thing being gray. All right, so it's like, okay, what do I need to adjust to make that thing gray? Adjust, adjust, adjust. And it's like, okay, boom, now it's gray. Now, that's not bad. If we come over here and look at our properties, right, we can see that those adjustments are pretty close to what I was doing before, right? The blue midtones came up, the red midtones came down. It did a little bit of a tweak to the greens. And we could just go back in to those various channels, right, and adjust them ourselves if we wanted to fine tune it. So if you have something that is a neutral gray in your image, this is a good way to get a starting point. If you don't have anything like that, you can just go into the RGB channels, grab a midpoint on there, and start moving them around and see how you do with your color. We're working here with a JPEG. There's also a tiff. It would be the same. The ability to fine-tune the color or to fine-tune the color if it's pretty screwed up to start is much more limited in a JPEG or a TIFF compared to a RAW file. And because it's part of the homework, I will go ahead and show you that I am not lying. I will go here to this DNG version of the same image. Right now, I didn't bring it into Lightroom, I just brought it directly into Photoshop. What that means is that it's going to bring it into the Camera Raw editor. The algorithm, the controls, the results are exactly the same as what we would have in Lightroom. It's just a different way to do it. So if you don't have Lightroom on a computer, you can still edit your Camera Raws. It's just a little clunkier and slower to do a whole bunch of images. If you do one at a time, this is fine. So here we have our lovely Camera Raw interface. I admit, I'm like opening this up, I'm like, wow, it's been a while since I looked at this thing. Let's go to color grading, color detail, basic. There we go. Under the basic tab, glad I could find it, didn't just sit here looking like an idiot. There is a little eyedropper. If I grab that little eyedropper, I can now come over to a neutral gray, click on it, and it will perfectly adjust the white balance without any loss of image quality. I can go ahead and hit done. And actually, no, I'll hit open, pardon me. That will open that up here in Photoshop. Let's arrange these two next to each other. And come over here and zoom out a little bit. So this is actually pretty good, I have to say. You know, we have a little bit more fidelity in the one that came from the raw. There's more subtlety to it. The colors here are a little bit oversaturated. If I look at those yellows, they're a little bit much. A few of these colors in here have shifted a little bit. It's not as bad as I would have thought. But you can almost always get a better result coming from a raw file. And if you were coming from a very wrong white balance, right? If I had something that was blue or green or yellow or just like, there is no way that you're going to be able to recover it just using Photoshop unless you have a raw file to work from. So that is some quick and dirty working with curves, adjustment layers to do color. I'm going to talk now briefly a little bit about what your homework is, which is going to incorporate some of these things, and then you are free to jump on that and go ahead and do it.